You have got to define what success looks like for you. If you don't, someone else will for you. I know so many people who are trying to climb the ladder of success. I know so many people who are trying to get promoted at a job with people that they don't even like. Why do you even want to be in charge of these people? Because someone else handed them that, hey, if you have chief at the beginning of your title, well, then you are somebody. But I'm like, you don't even like these people and you don't even like your job. Why do you want to impress people you don't even like?
Kick those tires and start that virtually fake fire. And of course, happy holidays to all you listeners out there. We have a very special guest. I say that each time, but it's truer and truer with each subsequent episode. We have on the program Ryan Leak, which interestingly enough is not Ryan Leaf, which when we first met, I was also excited to have the former Chargers quarterback join us. But if I'm being totally honest, this Ryan is actually way cooler. Obviously, if you're a listener to this show, you know that Ryans are a favorite of mine. That's no mystery. But Ryan Leak is a best-selling author, a motivational speaker, and it's awfully early in the morning. I've had 2 cups of coffee, and still I'm going to get more motivated. He's got a great story, and he has deigned it appropriate to join us on this podcast for a little bit of time to share us some of his profound wisdom. As you know, where 2 or more Ryans are gathered, there is an awesome interview. Please welcome Mr. Ryan Leak. What's up, Ryan?
What an intro. Wow. I've never experienced an intro quite like that. It's impressive, but it's not surprising coming from Orion.
Well, of course. Now, I'm actually going to blow your mind. I don't know if you've been following the recent developments in artificial intelligence and the new OpenAI Chat GPT. Have you played around with this yet?
Ironically, I literally just started playing around with it this morning.
Well, there you go. I took the liberty because this thing is quickly going to render my entire existence obsolete. So yes. I took the liberty of writing in a prompt this morning. I asked the AI to write me a rap song about motivational speaker Ryan Leak and his upcoming interview on the I Went Camping show.
My goodness.
Are you ready?
I have never been more excited in my life.
Ryan Leak on the mic. He's the man of the hour, spitting fire, making moves. Oh, he's got the power. On the I Went Camping show, he's the main attraction, motivating and inspiring. He's got the satisfaction. He's got the skills and the talent. He's a force to be reckoned with. When Ryan Leak hits the stage, you can feel the energy shift. Ryan Leak, he's the man of the hour, giving us the motivation, never losing the power. But Ryan Bethea is in the house, and he's ready to learn. From the master of motivation, his fire's ready to burn. They're out in the wilderness, taking on the outdoors. With Ryan Leak at the helm, there's no need to be unsure. He's got the knowledge and the experience he's ready to share. With Ryan Bethea by his side, they're a team beyond compare. Ryan Bethea's in awe. He's taking it all in. From the wisdom of Ryan Leak, he's never been more tuned in. They're out in the wild, taking on the world. With motivation, inspiration, they're unstoppable, unfurled.
Wow. That's impressive. I'm not going to lie. Like if you wrote that, I'd be like, that's impressive. But the fact that a computer...
I am
it's
so
remarkable.
I'm so tripping out about this still. It's still like, I mean, I've put in some very strange prompts to see what it would do. And this thing is incredible. I asked it to write me a song about if Martin Luther of the Reformation met Pope Leo, what would they say at the time? Just to test it and see like what it would do. Listen to this. He's got 95 theses and he's going to make them heard. He's going to challenge the Pope and make him swallow his words.
Wow. This thing is like,
insane, right?
That is, yeah.
Oh, wow. I know. Anyway, so welcome to the AI driven podcast now. So I don't really know where to go from there. Obviously for my viewers who are wondering why I look so good in my Travis Matthew polo. This of course is the perfect polo from Travis Matthew, proudly wearing this for the last 3 years. So go out, get yourself some TM gear if you too want to look as fly by the fire. All right, Ryan. I know I kind of peaked us with AI and now it's like all I want to talk about. But you know what? While you and I still are relevant to the conversation, before AI renders us completely obsolete, you have an amazing story of getting to where you are now. I would love if you could just start us off by um, telling us how one goes, if you could even try to distill this, how does one end up becoming such a sought after speaker, just traveling, getting paid a lot to do what you love and help other people accomplish the same thing? If you had to try and figure that out, could you tell us?
Well, I think the way that I see my life, the way that I see my career is it was put on the planet to serve other people and add value to other people's lives. And I think there are things that I'm naturally gifted at that allow me to do that. And then there's things that I'm consistently seeking out problems. Like as long as people have problems, I think I'll always be employed. The day that people stop, like I really think, one day in heaven, I think, man, I'm not going to be very useful because right now, as long as people have challenges, I consistently study solutions. And so, as you can rate me however you want as a communicator, but for me, I'm consistently doing research on problems that my clients have. I want to make sure that I have solutions, not that I'm just funny or charismatic or have energy or, whatever box you want to check as a communicator. But in Q4, a lot of my clients were very, very scared about a recession. So I started studying every recession since 1857. Well, why? Well, because it's a problem that my clients are going to have. So whenever I talk about things that are relevant to them, not just things that are relevant to me. So I think if you want to be successful in that regard, I think make your life about helping other people with their stuff. And if you do that, I think you can go pretty far. When I think about Amazon, you think about Jeff Bezos, you think he woke up one day and just thought, man, I feel like my life's purpose is it's to make people's life a little bit more convenient. I really just want to like ship dumb crap to people every day. I don't think that's what he wanted to do, but I think he solved a problem. And by solving that problem, he put a lot of other businesses out of business because he did make it convenient. And then it evolved. But Amazon solves a problem. So I think as long as you are consistently looking for solutions to people's challenges and issues, I think you'll always have a successful business in some way, shape, or form.
Great. So there's actually an argument to go start problems for people too, sort of a supply and demand side of the equation, right? So
right.
That's what we have to get to. Okay. All right. So you have, you're not shy about this. You're a man of faith. I'm curious, when you look back and you reflect on sort of God's sovereignty versus sort of human, travailing, and how do you kind of view that? Like, do you think you chose to end up where you are? Do you think you were called to end up? How do you kind of work out how the heck we end up where we are?
Great question. It's a great question. I think people can end up where they are through various circumstances. I know I am where I'm at through the sovereignty of God. There are plenty of incredible communicators on the planet that Fortune 500 companies and NBA teams can bring in. There's plenty of options. Why they often choose me is very humbling, to be honest. I'm like, hey, I actually can think of 5 people that I think you should have. But I think that there is a God component to that as well. And I also think that there is a relationship component to a lot of the opportunities that I've had as well. It's not just a gifting side of thing or a great business or a great product. I think people want to do business with people that they like and people want to do business with people that they can trust. And so I think part of what I've been able to do over the last decade is just build relationships. And that is filtered through my God complex and going, man, I want to treat people how I think Jesus would treat them. And so as I've done that, I've noticed that my relationships have gotten better. Even when I talk with people who aren't Christians, I love having conversations with people who aren't Christians, because I still would say, hey, if you treated people how Jesus treated people, your business is going to grow. I guarantee it.
Well, to be fair, I mean, that's true, unless you're the is it the Canaanite woman, and he's like, what business do you have with me? And she's like, even the dogs eat the scraps of the table. So I'd say I'm all about emulating Jesus, but there are a few moments where his customer service, you might want to not emulate that, right? Or it's not. I mean, can you imagine if you told your customers, it is not my time yet? Like,
right.
Get away with that other place, but I'm with you on that. Yeah. Do you so again, just like distilling it down, like, do you this is such a crazy way to try and frame this, but do you have even sort of a ratio of like how much you think like, man, like I would have never picked this, but God did pick it for me and I see his hand and everything? Or do you kind of lean more like, I made some choices and God kind of backed my play?
I am not an opportunist. I'm a stewardess. And what I mean by that is I steward the opportunities that have come my way. I'm not searching for new ones. So, for example, the first MBA team that brought me on to do executive coaching, consulting, leadership development, whatever you want to call it, the way I landed that opportunity was I was speaking at my church. That's it. I was speaking at my church, and one of their executives was in the audience, and they said, that was very helpful.
Wow.
Like, I feel like I'm going to be a better employee this week because I listened to you. And as a person of influence in my organization, I thought, well, wouldn't all my team get better if they heard this guy? Will you come in?
Wow.
And teach what you just taught me on Sunday? Just you can't use the Bible verses. Sure. Now, I wasn't sitting around going, well, if only I could do a message that would reach no, I was just being faithful to the assignment that I had before that. Well, when I started working for that NBA team, once again, I'm just being faithful to the opportunity that was right in front of me.
Yeah.
And it was amazing how many vendors and different companies that they were connected to, that when they would show up and we'd be in the same room or the same event, they would say, hey, have you met Ryan Lee? No, who's Ryan Lee? Oh, hey, he's our, and I'm like, what am I? I don't even know what I am here. And they're like, he's our executive coach. I went, oh, I'm an executive coach now. That's literally how my executive coaching practice got started. Literally. Like,
I love that.
Through an intro. Like, it's not like I woke up one day, I was like, what I want to be? I want to be an executive coach. It's like, no, somebody else gave me that title.
I love that. So two questions immediately come to mind about that story. And it's funny because I think of the proverb, show me a man skilled in his craft and I'll show you a man who performs before kings, which would be really cool if you ended up like coaching a team, one of like the Sacramento Kings or something. That'd be, or the LA Kings. That would be really cool. If that would be a literal fulfillment of that. But two questions. One, do you remember what the message was for that team? And then secondly, how did they finish that year? That's a question.
Well, two things. So professional sports teams are split in two. So there's the player side, the actual sports side, and then there's the business side. So with that team, I only worked with the business leaders. That's it. I never saw a player through work, if that makes sense. Like, I saw players through other things,
right?
But I only worked with the marketing department. I only worked with the finance department, sales team.
Cool.
Communications department. And then with other teams, I work with players. Every team is a little bit different based off of the relationship. So during the bubble for the NBA, a friend of mine, again, who goes to a church I speak at in Houston. He calls me from the bubble. He was the, I don't know, vice president of player relations at the time. He calls me from the bubble. He goes, hey, you think you could do chapel for a couple of the guys? And I was like, well, I live in Dallas. I guess y'all are in Florida in this random bubble. And sure, Zoom. He's like, yeah, just do 3 games. Now, I wanted to ask what happened to the other chaplain because I didn't know. It was kind of weird. I was like, I don't want to like take somebody else's job, but sure. And so he sets up a Zoom like this, and 2 players walk in that I had never heard of, and I was like, cool, all right. And he goes, all right, go. I'm like, oh, all right, that's my intro. Go. All right, sweet. So I just started talking, and he goes, oh, stop. I went, okay. And then 2 Hall of Famers walked in. And you're like, oh, hey. He goes, all right, continue. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'll just keep go. It was so awkward. But it was like, hey, make the most of the opportunity. How's it going in the bubble, guys? I'm a free man out here. You're not. What's that like? It's kind of weird. And
wow.
He goes, hey, all right, we'll see you next game. I said, okay. He goes, all right, we'll see you next game. All right, then I'll do another one. All right, we'll see you next game. They said, we'll see you next game for like the next, I don't know, 100 games.
Wow.
And then those players left and took me with, to their teams and introduced me there. So again, I wasn't trying to like be somebody that works with professional sports teams. I'm speaking to an NFL team this coming weekend. It was like, I didn't ask for that. I'm not like looking to be this like NFL influencer. It's like, no, I believe God has put me in the position that I'm in, and I just try and be faithful with whatever is in front of me. I try and treat, there are players that I spoke to that you've never heard of, and then there are players that you see their name on headlines every single day. I treat all the players, all the personnel the exact same. I treat them like they're all VIPs. That's just how I am. So it's I don't want to say I'm not trying to be successful, but at the same time, it's like I'm really not trying. I'm trying to be good at what I do today. Like what's in front of me today, like, hey, I'm trying to crush it. And tomorrow will be tomorrow. But I just give my very best to today. And I think you do that for 5-10 years. I think you'd be surprised where it takes you when you treat people well.
Yeah. So that's the message too, is just be faithful with what you got and just be excellent. And you just never know what's going to happen.
I tell people all the time, especially speakers, you have no idea who's in the room. You have no idea who's in the room. You have no idea whose son is in the room. You have no idea whose mom is in the room. You have no clue whose best friend is in the room. Just give your best. Just give your best. Every room.
Amen.
And you do that long enough, I think you'll be fine.
I love that. One of the first things we talked about on our sort of get acquainted, meet a fellow Ryan phone call is just the idea of being radically generous and good stewardship, and just, how that in your philosophy on just stewarding wealth. You have talked about being radically generous, and you have some cool stories too about just being generous. I don't know if there's one that can come to mind or something that
Sure.
you shared, but I'd love to inspire people just to continue to be generous and know that it doesn't always work out this way, but there's so many people with cool stories like this. Yeah.
So, what I'll do is I'll even just share like a lot of my mentors' stories that have inspired me to live that way. I've always had the thought, when I was growing up, the whole goal in life was to make 6 figures. Like, oh my gosh, if you can make 6 figures, you've made it in America. Like you're a big deal. My financial advisor, he told me when I graduated college, I said out loud to him, my life goal is to make 80 grand a year. Because to me, I'm like, that's about 20 grand short of like the life, which is to make six figures. And then I started spending some time with a mentor who gave six figures a year. And I thought, wait, what? Like, there are people that do that. It's like, yeah, there are people who make it their goal in life to give away hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. And these aren't people that are billionaires. These are people that have just made a decision like, hey, this is what's going to mark our life. So one of my first employers, fresh out of college, him and his wife, they made six figures, well into six figures. Let's say they made 200 grand together. Both had great jobs. Well, they decided to give away just her salary for 1 year to nonprofit organizations. Just give it away. And I was like, what? Who does that? Like, I had never met anybody that had ever done that. Then a business mentor of mine, he said, man, what we do is we cap our income. Like, we have a number, and, we just, once we hit that number, everything else we make above that, we just give away. I went, wait, what? Like, I had never experienced anything like that. Another guy, he just, they live off 49% and they give away 51%. That's just their lifestyle. And I went, man, that's insane. Then I met a guy who's worth about $250 million, and he lives off of 9% and gives away 91% of his income. This is just an absurd amount of generosity. Well, these people started to really just shape my lifestyle and my thinking around money and philanthropy. And I thought, all of those people do not dress very well. No offense to them, but they're not known for their fashion. All of those people, not one of them has a BMW. They have decent houses, but they're not like lustrous people in that regard. But they're the one thing that they have that most people don't have is stories of impact of organizations, people, families that they've impacted through their generosity. And I just made a decision, when we first got married, I said, I think this is the direction that we need to be going in. Our life needs to be about giving, not getting. And so through that, even with our company, every year we go over our giving goals. Hey, this is what we're trying to give this year. And for the last 4 or 5 years, I would say it's doubled every year. And we've hit it every year, which is just absolutely insane. But I also would contribute that to, like, if my business growth model is very unpopular. Hey, give away a lot of your profits. Go for it. Like, what is insane? Like, why would we do that? I'm like, I don't know why you would do that. I'm just telling you, as we have done that, we have been amazed as to how our business has grown. So it may not be for everybody, but for us, like, it's just going to be our hallmark and what we do. So the other day I got introduced Fortune 500 company sales conference, and the girl gave me the greatest intro I've ever had at a speaking event. She said, hey, we got a special treat for you. His name's Ryan Leak. And I know it's going to be special because, well, he's expensive. Give it up for Ryan Leak. And so I get on the stage and I go, what an intro. I've never had anybody say that. Hi, my name is Ryan Leak and I'm expensive. And then I said, and let me tell you why. And I got to talk about generosity. And like at the sales conference where the whole idea is how we can get more. It's just like, yeah, maybe the most expensive guy in the room is like, yeah, what if we gave it away? Now that's a story to tell. People are like, what in the world is going on? I go try it. Just try it. Wow. And see. So
but also
yeah,
the moral of the story, though, right, is that, again, because I'm sure people, we're supposed to be generous no matter what. incidentally, a lot of times these cool things happen, but also it's important, right, to remember that this is not the end goal, and it doesn't always work out this way, right? I'm sure there are times when there are people just being generous, and they're like, "Hey," because I know people who have tithed militantly their entire lives and have not
Sure.
experienced stuff like this. But I will say,
Sure.
I know I've been really blessed to know a lot of extremely wealthy people, and a large majority of them share this philosophy. So it sort of comes back to that, like, it's not a promise per se of like this will happen all the time, but you do see that very generous people oftentimes do reap what they sow, and it comes back. And
100%.
and you also, and of course, as humans, we probably try and, quantify everything monetarily. When I remember I had this conversation with this couple, and they're militant tithers, give, they don't make much, and they give, 20-25% of their money away, which is, awesome. And, and they were talking about all these nonprofits and missions and stuff they just wanted to fund, and they had the heart for it. And and they said, we've been tithing for 45 years. Like, you being, and like, obviously you don't have to be a tither to be generous, right? But just that spirit,
Sure.
That's the Christian perspective. But they've been, giving away so much money for years, and just not getting by each month, but just like, tight belts for 40 years. And they're like, it's just one of those things where we hear all these cool stories, and we wish there had been a, we haven't had that mysterious check show up or the money come in that way. And we would just love to fund all this stuff. And then we paused, and I said, but look around, like, you've got one of the best marriages ever. You're both extremely healthy despite advancing in years. You've got a great house, right, that you've slowly added on to, and a massive community of people that you've shaped. And by every metric that actually probably matters, you are some of the wealthiest people on this planet. And it's funny, that was a real shift. And then I remember they that night we said a little prayer that, God would just hear that heart and honor that. And the next day they found out that someone had endowed them with $500,000 to their nonprofit. So
crazy.
It's cool. So you never know, right?
Yeah. And for us, it's always like, whatever our giving goal is never like out of surplus.
Right.
It's like, hey, what could we sacrificially give? And we don't write checks ever anymore, but we put in our credit card information for some hefty amounts that like went, oh, man, this is gonna hurt. But I think at the end of the day, it's like, I would rather have the stories of impact than anything else, though.
Amen. I want to kind of finish up around, you're big on asking questions, learning a lot from questions versus, just preaching to people. And I'm curious, what are, to just anyone in life right now who feels like maybe kind of a little stuck, a little like, is this my life? I know you've had some great questions that you can ask. And so what's kind of your message for those folks? And what are some questions you would invite people to ask of themselves?
Yeah. So I just wrote a book called Leveling Up. And the reason I wrote that book is for the person you just described, the person that kind of feels stuck, trying to like, all right, what am I supposed to do next? Like, I've found that there are people who can kind of coast through life. They find themselves going through the motions. Their life's on autopilot, cruise control. They might be working really hard, but they're really on a treadmill. They're in the same place they were 5 years ago, but they are absolutely exhausted. So, and then there's people that are just thriving. Like, it just seems like their life has a lot of momentum. And so I designed what we call 12 loaded questions to kind of elevate a person's personal and professional development in this book. So without going through all 12 questions, if I could just pick one or two that I would say, hey, this is a question that is going to help you go to the next level. First question would be, what's my definition of success? What's my definition of success? You have got to define what success looks like for you. If you don't, someone else will for you. I know so many people who are trying to climb the ladder of success. I know so many people who are trying to get promoted at a job with people that they don't even like. Why do you even want to be in charge of these people? Because someone else handed them that, hey, if you have chief at the beginning of your title, well, then you are somebody. But I'm like, you don't even like these people and you don't even like your job. Why do you want to impress people you don't even like? So what is success for you? For, like I told you before, for me, it used to be making six figures, then it was giving six figures. And then it moved from what's to who. All right, well, as my kids get older, I'm going, man, who do I want to be? And about to celebrate 10 years of marriage, you start thinking about yourself as a husband and the impact that you had on people and your friendships. But I was talking with a friend of mine who is a professional athlete, and I said, hey, do you remember 15 years ago when being in the NBA was successful? Like, remember the good old days? Like, if you could just be in the NBA, you would be successful. Well, then it slowly turned into, well, am I going to play tonight? That's success. If I get in the game, now that's successful. Then it was, well, if I'm a starter, all right, well, if I'm an all-star, well, if it's a scoring top, if I win MVP, if I win a championship, oh, you haven't won a ring, or you're nobody. It's like, no, you're successful by everyone else's measuring stick, except, well, at the same time, nobody's measuring stick, because you don't have a championship ring, or you don't have this, you don't have that. And it's just interesting how the goal line for success for a lot of us continues to move every year. So I think if you're going to really get unstuck, you got to define what success looks like for you. And then I would also encourage you to not write down goals. That's a waste of your time. The reality is you're probably not going to hit all of them. And so you're going to feel like a failure and probably just acquiesce to being stuck again. Pick one goal that you can realistically accomplish this month. Just one, and crush that one goal. And then pick another one and let it snowball. People ask me all the time, how do you write books? One sentence at a time. Like, that's how you write a book. One sentence at a time. That's actually all you can do. And then one day it's a chapter. And then you refine that chapter. And then the next day, you try and think of, dude, one time I spent 6 hours trying to come up with a name for a chapter. And at the end of the day, I had one sentence. And I was like, that was grueling and discouraging. But guess what? I was further than I was the day before. So keep moving, keep going forward. So I would say, that's the question you should be asking yourself. What's your definition of success? Another question that I would say that can help you improve is what I call the self-improvement question, which is, how can I get better? How can I get better? Every day I'm asking myself that question. Hey, how can I get better? We have an assessment on my website where we actually assess where a person is at on the different levels. We've defined 6 levels that a person can kind of be living and working at. And so this is an assessment that can assess where you are personally and where you are professionally. I tweak it every week.
No,
I tweak it every week. Why? Well, because I wanted to get better. As more people take it, they go, well, hey, I thought this. Oh, great. Okay. And even the system in which we built the assessment on will even tell us, hey, this is the number one question that people drop off on. We encourage you to change the question. Oh, really? Okay, great. I can literally see that there's a 7% drop off on question number 1, which means right away, people are making a decision about, is this question and is this assessment for me? So we're like, okay, we need to move that question. We need to adjust that question. Hey, I'm trying to get better. Whatever job you have, whatever career you have, I found that typically when I ask people, hey, do you think you could have worked harder last week? Very rarely has a person said, nope, I gave it 110%. Well, 110% actually isn't a thing, by the way. It's only 100%. That's all any of us get. But most people go, yeah, I could have worked harder. Well, why don't we go for that this week? Hey, how you prepare for your next opportunity or your next job is giving your best to the one that you have right now. And so every time I have a speaking engagement or whatever, I'm always going, man, how can I get better? It's not self-loathing. I'm not beating myself up. I'm just going, man, I want to get better. I hear one of the backhanded compliments I like to say that I hear all the time is, man, you've gotten a lot better than you were 2 years ago. And I'm like, what are you saying? Like, my sister came and heard me speak the other day. She goes, you've gotten a lot better. And I was offended at first, but then it's like, no, Ryan, that means you've actually been doing what you've been trying to do, which is to get better every single day. You do that long enough, you're going to wake up 5 years from now and go, I'm a lot further than I was before. And sometimes people will confirm that for you, and sometimes that's offensive, but actually it's the biggest compliment you can get. It means you're actually hitting your goals. So that's what I would say to the person that may be feeling stuck and needing to put things in drive a little bit.
I love it. Well, I think you've gotten better in the last 30 minutes. So, for what it's worth, you sound great.
That's awesome.
I know, but well, this is awesome, Ryan. I so appreciate it. These are, to learn the other 10 questions, you got to buy the book. You got to level up. So,
that's true.
So do we need to go to ryanleak.com? And
you can go to ryanleak.com or Barnes and Noble or Target or Amazon, wherever you buy books.
Target.
Most people like to listen to it. People are getting lazier. So if you're lazy, kudos to you. Listen to it 2 times fast on the audiobook. It's me doing it. So
there you go.
So go for it.
Awesome. Yeah. Enjoy books while they're still written by humans. So
right. That's true.
That's right. Ryan, any parting message or just burning wisdom that you wish to instill into the dozens of people that listen to this?
Yes. One of the last questions in the book that is becoming my favorite is, are you enjoying it? Are you enjoying it? What I've learned is that there are so many schools you can go to learn how to be successful. You can listen to your podcast to learn how to be successful. You can listen to our friend David Nurse's podcast or my podcast, or take a course, or watch YouTube videos, or follow people on TikTok and Instagram that are inspirational, that will give you 5 steps, 7 things, 10 ways to be successful. What you won't find very often is a course, a class, or a school, or a podcast that will teach you how to enjoy success when you get it. You spend so much time climbing, you spend so much time grinding, if you will, that a lot of times nobody's teaching you how to stop and smell the roses. And so I just want to encourage however many people are watching or listening to stop and count your blessings. Stop and count your blessings. Yesterday I had a pretty rough day yesterday. And I was on a plane headed to California, where I'm at in this very moment. And I just paused and I started counting my blessings. And I added them up, literally. And I sent them all to my wife. And I just said, I am incredibly grateful for you. Mm-hmm. And I think about where we're at ages 34 and 36. And I just say, hey, I'm amazed at what God has done in our marriage and in our family. And I just think God's timing for everything that has happened in our life has been spot on. And as much as there are things that I would change, or I would do this, or no, I see God's providence in our life. And I just want to let you know how much I appreciate you. Mm. It's amazing how different that day became when you just count your blessings. So I'm not even saying like, hey, only if you're successful are you enjoying it. No, like wherever you are, there is some goodness in the world around you. You should find it, look for it, and enjoy it. You need no one else's permission to enjoy your life, even at a job that you might hate. You can enjoy it. There are plenty of people in the world who have jobs most people would endure, that they're enjoying it.
Yeah.
I pulled in the toll booths and guys are in there dancing. And I'm like, I don't know that I would want to be in a toll booth all day long with angry drivers. But he's like, no, like there's no rule that says you can't dance in a toll booth.
That's right. Maybe it was a commission toll booth.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I love that, writing down your blessings. Was that hard to do, having been forced into coach for that flight? I'm assuming that was the origin of your tough day.
Yep.
You know, it was,
Oh yeah.
you know, it's
No,
easy,
I
to
get
write your
upgraded.
blessings in first class. You know?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And ironically, that wasn't one of them. So
Hey, you know what? I tell all the time, I was like, you know what? Like, do the people, if the Christian narrative is true, do the people in first class need to hear the gospel as much as those in coach? What does Jesus say? It is not the healthy, it is the sick who need a doctor. So then God said, whom will I send to first class? And I said, send me. Send me, Lord. He has not sent me yet.
I get to sit in first class quite a bit because I'm at the airport every few days.
Amen.
Honestly, the biggest difference is they give you a glass cup instead of a plastic one.
Hey,
I'm flying coach home today. I don't care. I mean, it really isn't like I still get to get on the airplane first. It doesn't matter. I mean, they're just seats.
It is tough though. I was on a middle coach seat from Atlanta to Dubai for 14 hours, and that was a pretty spiritually testing time. Not relative to most of human experience.
You didn't pick your seat?
No, dude. I was flying standby. So it was.
You flew standby from Dubai
to Dubai. Yeah.
To Dubai. Yeah. Well,
when you're young and you don't have any money, you know, it was just like,
no,
my friend was like, had a buddy pass,
I get it.
And he was like, why not? And I was like, let's go. And I was just stoked to be on the way to Dubai. But, you know, hour 7, you know, you lift your head up off the seat and you're like, oh man,
I get that.
Like
I get that.
This is tough. So I hear, but
yeah, you might have to stretch your legs out a little bit. I get that.
Oh yeah, man. I'm 6'5", so it's one of those things where it's tough flying. So I'm praying. I was like, Lord, send me up to the front. You know, I was like, I'll go. I'll be your voice up there. Well, Ryan, awesome. It has been such a pleasure. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to seeing how AI will, you know, help us in the future. And once AI has generated a full Ryan avatar, you know, you can stop flying and stay home.
Yeah, right. For sure.
Oh man. Well, folks, we've been camping and with Ryan Leak. Go check it out. Go level up. Grab his book. Find out the other 10 burning questions to help change your life for the better. We'll talk to you soon, folks. Do 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 do.